What if question mark. That is the title of this latest series from the MCU. This is the first foray for them into the genre of animation. And it's cool. It's weird to talk about this. I was like, should I do a weekly review of What If? And I didn't because what would I really say? I don't think there's much to say about this show. Each episode's a what if. It takes a story from the Marvel Cinematic Universe and just says, what if it was different? That's pretty much all you could say about it. Like, it's cool. It's fun. But if you have never seen a Marvel movie, this is going to make no sense. And I think at this point, if you haven't seen a Marvel movie or any of it, that's on you. So I'm going into this review like, do I do spoilers because the audience that would be watching this review has already seen every episode and everything in the MCU? Or do I do this like fresh-faced person who's never seen a Marvel content or like this animated thing could be compelling enough to get me to want to see it? I don't know. So I'm going to kind of do a mix of both. First off, of course, everybody who has seen the MCU watched this because it's just more, fuel to that fire, however you want to take that. It's just more MCU content in a different variety. And when I say this show only works because the MCU exists, that's it. Like, if this was just like the first thing Marvel made, it makes no sense, and I don't think anybody would understand. This could only exist after a time period when we had all this content created, and that's kind of an interesting thing that we're like 12 years into this weird world of these characters, and now we could be like, yeah, let's get a little weird with it. That's kind of exciting. It doesn't like impress me too much because I'm like, yeah, of course, now you're gonna do it. It makes sense to me. I say it all the time when I talk about these stuff. We are currently in this multiversal arms race in terms of cinematic universes, and just wait. It's not going to be just Marvel and DC that do this. As soon as the thing comes viable, you can bet your ass other things are going to go into that too. Imagine a Ninja Turtles, a Ghostbusters, a Transformers, all these things are going to do their multiverse stuff. So it's the multiverse. Uatu the Watcher is looking out his window. He's like, what if this thing happened differently? The stories, like, I'm not going to spoil all the stories. There is 9 episodes to this. It was cut short because of COVID. The stories are all good. None of them are terrible. None of them are bad. All the stories have great fun, great stories. They're just really interesting and dynamic and cool to see. Of course, there's some weaker ones. And then there's some that are just so different and bizarre that it holds up on its own as this like unique piece of medium. I just love that. Just like, hey, this isn't just like distinctively something ripping off the MCU or changing something in the MCU. This is telling a really cool tale of just like struggle and love and hardships and heartbreak. And I really like that stuff. And on that note too, there is just stuff that's like, hey, what if Captain America was Peggy? Hey, what if, T'Challa went to space? And those are cool, but then you get to like some of the nitty gritty stuff. I'm like, this is really telling a different story with a character we love and doing something different. And the animation, I was very hesitant on at first. I thought it looked very stiff, very, uncanny valley-like, and it just didn't work for me. Especially in like the first couple episodes, I was like, oh, this still, something about this just seems off. But the more you settle into it, the more you can respect it, the more you like it. I think what works better is when it's doing like the landscape shots of all like the big surroundings, the big effects and stuff. But sometimes when it's just like up close on a face, it just gets a little too basic looking and it doesn't look authentic or different enough from, just like standard television. You're just like, okay, yeah, that's clearly someone trying to draw Chris Hemsworth without drawing Chris Hemsworth, and it's weird. Sometimes it's better than other times, and it's just insanely weird just the way it works sometimes. Like, there's some characters who are distinctively like, this looks like that character, like that looks like Benedict Cumberbatch, that looks like Tom Hiddleston, those look like the character. And then there's some where it's like, can you not draw a distinctive face for this actor? You'd think you could, but I guess you can't, and that can sometimes be distracting. But it happens, and I'm not going to complain about it. The voice acting in this, too, is very weird, because, of course, not everyone's going to come back. You're not going to get your big names for something like this. You will get a couple big names, because it's still a paycheck for them, but you're not going to get them all back. And I completely understand that. And I think everybody does a good job of portraying the voice they're doing. In particular, I think Lake Bell does fantastic as Natasha Romanoff. I think that was just a surprise thing for me because I didn't know she was going to be doing Natasha before this came up. She did really good. Her Natasha was fantastic. It sounded close enough, but it also sounded distinctive to her own thing. If this becomes a trope going forward where we have Lake Bell voicing the animated Natasha, I can live with that. I think it works really well. This show is very, very fun. It's distinctive. It's different. It's an MCU. It's like an orgasm for MCU fans. You know, if you like anything in this, there you go. It's all there. References galore, characters galore, just the stuff you like. It'll show up. And it's the multiverse, so anything can happen, and anything does happen, but not anything that happens is that different than what you'd be expecting. Like, it takes liberties, but it doesn't take a lot of liberties, you know what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, this happens, but, you know what, I say that now, and I'm like, they literally ended the world and the universe on multiple occasions, but I'm like, is that really shocking, or is that just, like, emphasizing the fact that this is animation so we can make it bigger, but if you told the story in live action, it probably wouldn't be as, like, big as this was, which I guess is in benefit of the animation style for this. I don't know what I'm saying now. Like, is that weird to think? I think it's probably plausible. The stories you told here only work in the animation style. Hey, that's fine. It's a new medium. It could be a new way to enjoy these characters in this universe without having all like the baggage of going into the MCU stuff. If you just want like an animated project, it's hard to get into, but once you get into it, it might work for you. It's interesting, it's creative, it's colorful, it's dynamic. It's just going to show something I'm not excited for going forward in our cinematic universes, and that is just the multiverse is endless. So none of it really matters, does it? And oh, yeah. So what if? What if is a show? And it's fine. This isn't personally stuff I like. I've never been like the biggest supporter or fan of What If comic books. I think they're enjoyable and people like them. It's never been something I've gravitated towards in this show. While it does a lot of cool stuff for the MCU style, again, it's just not that kind of thing that makes me excited or interested. The stories are really cool and some of the concepts it plays with are awesome, and I love seeing those niche cuts and those niche characters popping up. But at the same time, it's exactly what you'd expect from a Marvel property in the 2020 era. So love it or hate it, it exists, it's cool. It's What If. So another thing to add to the slate of Marvel stuff. Wait for season 2. Another show, another time, another fun thing. I'm not trying to sound negative on it. I just think, yeah, it's cool, it's cute, it's standard Marvel, which is something people love or something people hate. And then there's people right in the middle who are like, I love it, I hate it. Give me something new, not just the same characters and new costumes fighting the same war they fought before. So what if ... season 1, because there is going to be another season of this, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10. Now, thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and I will catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck.